welcome back to this podcast through FCC. We've been able to talk about family life and dynamics and working towards a healthy relationship, be it in a husband-wife relationship, parent-child relationship, employer-employee relationship. And so I want to talk about how do you start a conversation with somebody in order to resolve conflict between you. Last time we talked about softening the startup rather than harshly attacking a person, attacking the problem. But now we want to say, perhaps this is the 10th time or the 20th time you've had to talk to your husband or your wife about that one issue. And it's almost like Act 2, Take 6, or Act 2, Take 1,525 with your child. So we want to say, I'm going to have a single conversation with you where you hear my heart. And so the first thing you want to do in dealing with conflict is, what is the one thing that you have a concern about? Not 10 things or 12 things that your husband or your colleague is doing wrong, or your child is doing wrong, but just one issue, not multiple issues. And this issue has made me frustrated or agitated or irritated. And so ask yourself the question before you discuss that one thing. Is this an isolated incident, or is this an ongoing problem? Or maybe is this a trivial thing and I just need to grow some thick skin and be more gracious and compassionate and patient as a Christian? Or is this a serious issue that I need to talk to my husband or my wife or my child or my colleague about? So when you go into the conversation to resolve the conflict, you want to then have recent examples of when these incidents cause conflict between the two of you. Because haven't you had somebody say something like this, well, when did I do that? And you say, so you want to go prepared with 2 or 3 recent examples. You did it in the foyer of the church where you embarrassed me maybe. You did it during Thanksgiving, meal when my family was over for the weekend. Or you did it in the car in front of the kids. And those are 3 examples of when this conflict arose in my heart. So in order for you to have a successful meeting, you both need to agree when is the meeting going to take place. And you have to request it. You can't demand it by saying, sit down, I want to talk now. Okay? So when's the best time we're going to have this discussion? Well, it's going to be after supper, after the kids are put to bed in their nighttime routine, or maybe we'll go for a walk on Saturday morning and we'll take the dogs for a walk and we'll sit on the bench overlooking the sky and we'll talk about it, heart to heart with each other. So the question then, as a believer, I'd like to ask myself is, have I taken this to the Lord? Have I prayed about it? And sometimes when I want to talk to Ruth or my son or my daughter about something significant, or someone that I as a pastor was given leadership over, the Lord would often say to me, Simon, you just need to be more patient and grow up. And then I take my conflict resolution worksheet and I tear it up and I say, okay, God, this is an issue. I need to mature and I need to grow up. So I ask God in prayer, what is His perspective? Is my heart right? Is my motive right? And He will give you insights as the Holy Spirit speaks to you about that. So before you get into addressing the one issue, you have to ask yourself, what is my soft startup? Rather than using accusatory language, like you always and you never, use language like I said to you last time. I would like you to consider this. It makes me feel really despondent or rejected when you behave this way towards me. And this issue makes me feel devalued. So you want to tell them how that issue makes you feel. I feel devalued, I feel marginalized, I feel judged. And so you want to use words that help them understand what your heart is encountering. Then in that conversation that you deal with the conflict, you want to then tell them, this is a need I have. I need to be respected, that you choose your timing better. And talk to me about issues, not in front of my family, not in front of the children, not in front of friends, but that we privately talk about that issue. And I want to make sure that I deal with that thing in a proper way. Now, sometimes there are things that we need to avoid. We need to avoid comparing them with somebody else. Why can't you be like John? Why can't you be like Susie? Why can't you be like your sister? Comparing them to other people is a penalty of foul. You want to say, this is how your behavior makes me feel, and I'd like that to change. So we want to avoid the penalties of accusing them. And when you want to deal with something that you'd like to see change in, you want to light a candle rather than always curse in the darkness. And by that I mean, come with some practical suggestions on how you'd like to have them improve the way they deal with this one issue in your life. So for example, if you are fighting over overspending with a credit card, you want to have a conversation about sticking with the budget. This is what we said is the limit of our credit card spending. $750 a month on the MasterCard, $1,000 on the Visa. That is built into our budget, but when you go over and spend $3,000 on the Visa and $2,000 on the MasterCard, it throws our budget out completely. So we want to talk about practical things that we can stick to, even such as budget. So when you share your thoughts for improvement, you are making your spouse, you're making your coworker, your children understand what is an expectation that you have in this situation. And so your thoughts, your ideas, your feelings are very important. Then ask your spouse, ask your child, ask your coworker, how can we meet halfway? How can we meet in the middle that both of us are making adjustments? If I'm too hard or too harsh and too black and white, how can I soften and how can I change? And they'll often tell you how you can compromise in making life better. So there are going to be non-negotiable things. If you're going to disrespect me or be rude to me and in front of company, in front of our family, in front of co-workers, then it's a non-negotiable. I'm going to leave the room and I'm going to ask you to talk to me in private about that rather in front of other people. So lastly, after you've had a conversation like this about a solution to one issue, write on your calendar and express a desire to talk about this 30 days from now. And then 30 days from now, you're going to say, how did we do this last 4 weeks? How did we accomplish what we set out to do to deal with this one thing? And in that post, conversation, you're able to give them feedback. You really improved. I didn't see criticism in front of company. I didn't see you embarrass me in front of friends. I didn't see you, make me look stupid in front of our coworkers. And you give them positive feedback about how that one area changed in your life. So hopefully, as you look at resolving conflict with a coworker, a spouse, or a child, and you just deal with one thing at a time, the Lord will really help you bring about a peaceful environment within your home or your office or your place of recreation. So I hope this tip helps you, and God bless you as you endeavor to resolve conflict, because God says in His Word in 1 Corinthians, unto us He's given the ministry of reconciliation. We always want to walk in reconciliation with each other. Take care, and I hope you can apply this one thought to your relationships every day. Bye-bye.